Thank God. Thank God I have a censor button here. Man, there's been so many F-bombs this morning. It's crazy. Now I know how those nuclear facilities in Iran feel because F-bombs have just been dropping all morning. Woo! And Donald Trump doesn't need a B-2 bomber. Nothing stealth about Donald Trump's F-bombs this morning. What's up? This is Mark Kaye saves the Republic, and I don't even know if I've got time for everything. If I gave you all the news today, if I told you everything that was going on, if we covered every story that I wanted to cover, if I played every soundbite, if I did every interview I wanted to do today, I don't even know if I would have the time to get it all done before midnight. I don't even know. Maybe I should start the show earlier on days like today because we have so much going on. First of all, Donald Trump just filth fouling all over the White House lawn, just laying down the law, totally fed up and frustrated with Iran and Israel. Really, man, dropping the hammer this morning on Bibi Netanyahu, who I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. But Donald Trump is just, he's so close to this major victory. He declared victory last night, and now he's got these cowboys over in the Middle East who are trying to muck it all up. And Donald Trump's like, look, what Donald Trump said on the news this morning when he dropped the F-bomb. I mean, think about this. If he's cursing on live television about Israel and Iran, imagine what he's saying to these guys on the phone. Imagine Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. The phone rings like, Prime Minister, it's President Trump. And he's like, oh, I don't know, send it to voicemail. I was like, no, you got to take it. I mean, imagine the litany of, it had to have been, it reminds me, I don't know if you ever saw A Christmas Story, but I think this is the second time this week I've actually drawn a parallel to A Christmas Story. Earlier I was talking about Scott Farkas. Now I'm talking about My Old Man. Do you remember the scene when the old man went down into the cellar to battle the furnace? And there was just this litany of curse words, he said, that hung over Lake Michigan like a cloud. That's what I imagine happened when Donald Trump had to call Israel and Iran today to say, you sons of B words, I got a ceasefire and you're going to stick to it. And I don't care. I got more bombs. I got B-2s at Whiteman Air Force Base and they are fueled up and they are ready to go. So just don't even tempt me. I'm not in the mood. I'm totally done. In fact, here's what Donald Trump said just before the F-bomb. And it was very telling because you could tell his frustration was mounting. He was headed out to NATO, and Donald Trump's very much one of those guys where he finishes it. He does a task, right? He's focused on a task. The task is completed. And then he's like, great, let's move on to the next task. The next task is the big, beautiful bill's got to get passed. And oh yeah, I've got to go to NATO and get them to pay their fair share. So I'm kind of done with this ridiculous war in Iran and Israel because I ended it on Saturday night. It's over. We got a ceasefire. But these guys just keep coming back. You can tell his frustration was mounting right before he dropped the F-bomb.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
How will you
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides.
It's like he's like a parent complaining. He's like, all I do is play both sides. All I do is pick up your clothes and your laundry, and you're so ungrateful. I put food on your table. I give you a place to stay. You guys are I've had it. I've had it with all you. You're all grounded. That's basically what you can tell the frustration that he has. He's like, all I do is get in the middle of these two idiots. And then he took a couple steps toward the chopper. The press followed him. They asked him another question, and that's when he really just lost it.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
And then he just walks off. and he's just like, I got places. I got to go to NATO and bust some heads there now too. Donald Trump is, I mean, I don't know if it's the adrenaline. I don't know what it is. If it's the success, I don't know if he's just like, you know what? I ended Iran's nuclear program. I brought peace to the Middle East. You know what? I'm not putting up with anyone else's crap. I mean, think about what this guy's been able to accomplish. This is a man who's been able to accomplish something that no president has ever been able to do. Every president has tried, except Obama, and every president has failed. And here's Donald Trump going, look, we're getting her done. Israel is now at peace with Iran. Iran is at peace with Israel. The Abraham Accords are in place. Where there's talk now of Lebanon jumping into the Abraham Accords, and Lebanon is the home of Hezbollah. So I don't even know what's going on there. But it is insanity. It's really wild the way that Donald Trump has been so effective. And so he's to the point now, and I get it. You're like, you've proven yourself over and over again. You've told people, I'm not kidding around. I'm not messing around. I bombed this person. I killed Soleimani with a single drone shot. Nobody even knew it happened. I'm not messing around. I got all the illegals out. I shut down the border. There's nobody coming in. I'm not playing. Don't play back with me. And he doesn't care if it's Iran. He doesn't care if it's Israel. If you don't do what he says, he's got no patience.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And that is, by the way, I put that on the button. That's one of my new favorites. That's going to go on the button bar for good. Oh no, wait a minute. Where did it? Oh, boo. Never, look what I did. Look what I did. See, I just jinxed myself.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's right next to,
you're a fool.
Also one of my favorites. So our button bar is repopulating nicely thanks to President Donald Trump and his second term. So basically the long and the short of it is, last night Donald Trump came out with a long Truth Social post, and I read it on the 47daily.com this morning, so I'm not going to read it again. However, if you have not yet subscribed to the 47 Daily, I would 100% go to the 47daily.com so you can get all the news. Because this was happening live. Like, I sat down and I started curating content for my top-rated morning news podcast about all things President Donald Trump. And while I was curating it, like, I started getting alerts. And I was like, oh, now I got to change this story. And I started getting more alerts. And I was like, oh, now I got to remove this audio. And then it's like, Donald Trump's cussing. And I'm like, what? Oh, now we got to redo the whole thumbnail. It was wild. And then while I was actually recording the 47daily.com podcast, the news was still coming out. And Donald Trump, okay, let's go backwards. Okay? Let's start from the beginning. Last night, Donald Trump announces there's a ceasefire. In 6 hours, the ceasefire will begin in 6 hours, at which point Iran will begin the ceasefire. 6 hours after that, Israel will begin the ceasefire. And then by 24 hours after everything, we're all going to be in ceasefire mode. That's how it was going to work, because there's still missions out there. It was the middle of the night. Nobody was really sure who was bombing who at the time. So they had like a 6 hour window. Well, in that 6 hour window, apparently Israel decided they weren't just going to wrap up whatever missions they had in place. They were going to multiply the munitions that they were sending out. So they're like, oh, it's like you're in Vegas, right? And you're like, the plane leaves in 2 hours. I've still got $1,000 in my pocket. Let's just go blow it all on slots while we're waiting for them. But that's kind of what it was. So Israel goes, wait a minute, we've got 6 hours to kill, literally. That's probably not. That's right. Not the right euphemism to that. Then we've got 6 hours to bomb in Iran. So they like loaded up and just was like boom, 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 boom. And then the 6 hours paused, and then Iran evidently shot a missile. And again, we don't know if it was on purpose. We don't know if it was by accident. We don't know if whatever. The missile, because Iran's missiles are kind of pointless, didn't go anywhere, didn't hit anything. And Israel goes, wait a minute, they violated the peace agreement. And they fueled up their jets and they loaded up their bombers and they put them back in the sky. And Donald Trump was like, Oh my, that's when Donald Trump snapped.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And he's like, look, so he gets on the plane. I'm recording the morning podcast. He obviously has a phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu and Iran and whoever else. He's out there. He's obviously out there doing what Donald Trump does. And he gets this thing taken care of. And so on the plane, he announces to the media, and I get this live while I'm recording, that Israel is turning their bombers around. They're not going to drop any more munitions on Iran.
Breaking news. Everything good. Israel, as you know, turned back. They didn't do that raid this morning, fortunately. That was a big thing. Appreciate it. They had a lot of planes going, and they were going to do something, and they didn't do it. We're happy about that. Very happy about that. So the ceasefire is very much in effect. And I think we're going to keep it there for a long time.
Yeah, the ceasefire is in effect. We're going to keep it there for a long time. And that's great news. It's great news because Donald Trump's like, that's what we want. We don't want more bombs. We don't want more, death. We don't want any more destruction. We want this thing to be over. I want peace in the Middle East once and for all. That's why I bombed the snot out of those uranium enrichment plants. That's why we did all that kind of stuff. And now we're not going to have the ceasefire blow up because of one missile coming from Iran that didn't even do any damage. They asked again about regime change, and Donald Trump said, no, that's not on the table.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, but no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos, and ideally we don't want to see so much chaos, so we'll see how it does. The Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
I mean, that's Donald Trump saying, look, this is all we ever wanted for you guys. You can join. Here's the thing. You can be with us or you can be against us. And I would definitely recommend you be with us. That's literally what he's saying. He's like, I got economic agreements with everybody here in the Middle East. I don't know if you saw, I did the rounds. I went to Qatar. I went to the United Arab Emirates. I went to Saudi Arabia. I got trillions of dollars worth of investment. We're all going to build things. They're all going to join in on the Abraham Accords. We're all going to be peaceful. Nobody's going to bomb anybody. That's how we do things. You can be part of that economic growth. You can be part of that financial windfall. You can be part of this amazing economy that we're building together, or you can be, or not. But you're never going to have a nuclear weapon. And if you try to get in our way, then we will pound you. And that is exactly the message that Donald Trump delivered to Iran. And that apparently was the message that Iran got. And Israel apparently is also now on board with not fighting Iran anymore. And I get it. You fight somebody for so long, you feel like they're a threat, and they probably always will be a bit of a threat. You're a little wary about any ceasefire agreement, but it's time. It's time for peace. That's what Donald Trump had said. He said, God bless America. God bless the world. Congratulations, everyone. The time for peace is here. Except, of course, with the media, because Donald Trump, I told you he was on a tear. And you don't mess with Donald Trump when he was on a tear. He was ripping into the media again because he doesn't like the way the media, and it's not about him. Sure, the media has been disrespecting him, but they've been disrespecting him for 10 years. Ever since he came down the escalator, they've been ripping into him. They've been calling him names. They've been digging up dirt. They've been telling lies. They've been creating these horrible narratives about what a monster Donald Trump is. He's a homophobe. He's a xenophobe. He hates black people. He's a white supremacist. He's a tax cheat. He does all these horrible things. The woman with the cat with the weird name. What was her name? E. Jean Carroll. You know what he did to her in the Macy's dressing room or the Bloomingdale's dressing? I don't even remember what it was. One of those department stores that used to be cool but now isn't. It's horrible. He's a terrible guy. Meanwhile, he's done more for this world, not even the country anymore, world, than any one man has probably ever done. It's really incredible. But he tears into the fake news. He doesn't take the fake news lightly. And he was mad, not that they were discounting him and his accomplishments, but that they were disrespecting the brave young men, the patriots, who flew those B-2 bombers 30 hours across the ocean into the Middle East, dropped those bombs with precision accuracy over and over again, took out the entire nuclear threat that's been clouded over this world for a decade now, and flew back home safely without a single casualty. without a single missile or plane being scrambled by Iran. Nobody knew they were there until after they were gone. I think there were people in Iran, they didn't even know what happened until they saw it on Donald Trump's Truth Social. And they were all like, Ali Akbar, what? The planes landed back in Minnesota? Yeah. And then they went home and they got a good night's sleep. And Donald Trump said those are brave people. Those are skilled people. Those are talented people. They were acting on my orders. They made the world safer, and you will not disrespect them, fake news.
I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers.
Israel says that they violated the peace.
You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Yeah, that's CNN scum. You're all a bunch of gutless losers. That's what I say. That's what I say to the. That's what I say when you disrespect our pirates. By the way, it was Missouri they landed, not Minnesota. Minnesota is where Tampon Tim Walz, had that guy go after Amy Klobuchar allegedly. Missouri is where the pilots landed at the Air Force Base with the B-2 bombers. But Donald, you're gutless. You're gutless. You're stupid. You're liars.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, that's basically it. And he has no qualm about it. He knows that CNN's going to do, whenever there's a they can't just say, you know what, Donald Trump did a good thing. They can't just say, you know what, the American military did something exceptional. You know what, wow, this was an incredibly historic day. They can't just say that. They have to go, wow, how do we make Donald Trump look bad? He said that they demolished the bases. Okay, did he really? Did he really demolish the bases? Did he really do what he said? Are they still standing? Can Iran still enrich uranium? I'm going to be honest with you. You drop that many bombs on something, there's no way it's still fully functional. There's no way it's capable of doing what it was able to do yesterday. And CNN knows it, but again, they're gutless scum. Gutless losers. Pardon me, they're scum and gutless, what is it? Scum and gutless losers. I think that's what CNN is scum. And they're all a bunch of gutless losers, according to President Donald Trump. But that's not all. I told you, guy was on a tear. God, by the way, we have Bridget Gabriel coming up here in just a minute. We're going to talk to her about all these things. She's amazing. Donald Trump was on a tear. It wasn't just CNN and MSNBC and Iran and Israel. Donald Trump had had enough of everybody. He'd had enough of these Democrat women in Congress who think they know it all. Jasmine Crockett, who thinks that she, and I won't play this clip because there's another F word in it. I didn't have time to bleep it. But Jasmine Crockett was out there saying she's the one that should have made the decision, and that Donald Trump not coming to Congress beforehand was unconstitutional, which it wasn't, and that it denied her the ability to make the decision that she's supposed to make, which she's not. And she was in Congress early. She was just, this woman is totally unhinged.
The country into a war without congressional approval. And while we're talking about saving money,
Let me tell you, just dropping those few bombs in one day, that was the beginning of what is going to be a very long bill for us as they talk about being efficient. There was nothing efficient about doing it. And maybe if there was some consultation, maybe with those that say have constitutional authority, since we care about the Constitution, then maybe we could have saved the American people not only money, but the lives that are now at risk as we have to put out warnings for American citizens in this country and abroad. Maybe we need to start leading with the people at the middle of what it is that is guiding us instead of following one person. The reason that people like me say things like y'all are in a cult is because somehow people are abdicating their duties and abdicating the very people that put them into office. But I got 30 seconds.
I don't know if she's familiar with the term efficiency, but I don't think there's ever been a more efficient military operation ever in history. You had a handful of airmen, 500, I think, total. You had a handful of aircraft. You had precision, and 6 bombs per, or 6 of these bunker buster bombs, and they were all dropped exactly on target. You had one submarine shooting Tomahawk missiles, what was it, 14 or something like that? And they all hit their target and they destroyed. Efficiency, you want a prolonged war, some kind of boots on the ground activity, some kind of massive, long-term Dick Cheney style war in the Middle East would cost trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. Now, what we've done is we brought peace to the Middle East. We've stopped any potential wars, and we protected Americans and Israelis and Europeans and people all over the world because Iran no longer has a nuclear weapon or the capability of building one. And that is super efficient. But she's just got her panties in a wad because she wasn't asked for permission beforehand, because she thinks the president is supposed to go to Congress and ask permission before he bombs. That's not even at all what the declaration of war power granted to the Congress by the Constitution is all about. The president makes the decision. Congress makes the declaration. There's no Congress doesn't decide one day we're going to go to war or we're not going to go to war. The president says we're going to attack or we're entering this war. And then the Congress goes and they vote on it and they say, okay, we will formally declare war. But the president is unilaterally allowed to command the armed forces to act in any way possible. Also, let's not forget that the president of the United States did call and let everybody know, as he's supposed to. The War Powers Act of 1973 is very clear. The government, the president can take decisive action if there's a threat against the United States of America, an imminent threat, and Iran having a nuclear weapon is an imminent threat against the United States of America. Let's be honest, Iran is just a 24/7 imminent threat against the United States of America, or at least it was. So the president acted in the best interests of the United States of America and her citizens. And the War Powers Act of 1973 says that the president has, 48 hours or 60 hours or something like that to alert Congress of, that's what it is. He has to alert Congress within 48 hours of the act being committed, which he did. He did it immediately. And the second thing he has to do is he has to end any and all military action after 60 days or within 60 days if war is not declared. I mean, he wasn't even there 60 minutes. There's no more military. It was one military action. They were in, they were out. I think 22 minutes is all the time it took to bomb those things and fly back out of Iranian airspace, which, by the way, Israel controls anyway. It was not at all a prolonged war. It didn't require a declaration thereof, but Jasmine Crockett's all upset. AOC's super mad too. She wants to impeach President Donald Trump. Big shocker there.
Of course, now it's AOC leading the charge. She's not taking the ceasefire news well.
He also said that it was a war, and I think that the President of the United States admitting that he unilaterally brought the United States into a war without congressional approval is a very grave public admission. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and so for me, while the president is posting something about a ceasefire, I think what he also posted was an official acknowledgement that this was war. And I think that is something that should be taken into very serious consideration.
Oh my God, was she struggling there or what? Here to explain, Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law prof and Fox News contributor. I mean, that was a tough moment for old AOC there. The ceasefire, so we got to impeach Trump. Yeah. Jonathan, let's go to the substance of this. The substance of this, because I know you have some history about ceasefire negotiations and a president involved and these kinds of things. But tell us what we should know.
Well, you have to feel for AOC. You're all dressed up for an impeachment and peace breaks out. It's sort of a Marissa Tomei moment from My Cousin Vinny. What a nightmare. And the problem is that it doesn't make for a very good impeachment, and that's why she was struggling. The other problem is that if this is impeachable, you could impeach a good number of presidents going back to Thomas Jefferson, who moved against the Barbary Pirates. You would also include Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. I mean, Obama in 2016 alone dropped over 26,000 bombs on countries ranging from Somalia to Syria to Afghanistan to Iraq. There was no suggestion by Democrats that they had to immediately impeach Barack Obama. The fact is that presidents have always claimed this authority to be able to commit troops and take military action. And yes, in my view, this is an act of war, but the way that courts and Congress have interpreted it is not something that requires a declaration. And keep in mind, we've only declared 11 wars in our history. We've had over 125 military operations, some going on for years, without such a declaration, including Vietnam and Korea.
Yeah, and those were very long, deadly, horrible conflicts that never should have happened, but did, and took them a lot of American lives. And, Congress never declared war on either of those. President Donald Trump, not at all happy with AOC or Jasmine Crockett or Ilhan Omar, really anybody, any of these Democrat squad members. He wrote, "Stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reason for her rantings is all of the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. The Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. When we examine her test scores, we will find out that she is not qualified for office, but nevertheless far more qualified than Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country, yet the failed country that she comes from doesn't have a government, is drenched in crime and poverty, and is rated one of the worst in the world, if it's even rated at all. How dare the mouse tells us how to run the United States of America. We're just now coming back from the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, President Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she, quote, represents, and which she never goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history, so go ahead and try impeaching me again. Make my day.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. I feel like, how like Donald Trump, he always signs things, "Thank you for your attention to this matter." I think he should start signing them this way.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. But that's just me. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I were him. AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, the gutless MSNBC, the scum at CNN, Israel and Iran. Donald Trump is not letting anybody away with anything. Donald Trump is in command. He is large and in charge. He is getting things done. He's been vindicated in his attack on Iran. He's bringing peace to a region that has been exploding in chaos for centuries. He's fixing the economy. He's getting rid of illegal immigrants. Even the Supreme Court is like, yeah, You're right. The Democrats are wrong. The Supreme Court yesterday in a 6-3 decision, you can guess who the 6 were and you can guess who the 3 were. They said that Donald Trump and his administration and Tom Homan and ICE have every right to deport people, not only to the country they came from, but to any other country they want. So if you came here from Venezuela or Syria, or if you came here from, I don't know, Colombia or Mexico, and they don't want you back, we'll send you to El Salvador and you'll be in CCOT with Tren de Aragua and MS-13. If you came from one of those places and they don't want you back, we could send you to Syria too. We'll dump your ass anywhere, anywhere you want. We'll just fly until the plane runs out of fuel. We'll land and we'll drop you there. And you're probably not gonna like it. Why do they do that? Well, because they want people to self-deport. And the United States Supreme Court has said this is totally legal. This is totally in the purview of the executive branch. This is well within Donald Trump's authority as the chief executive and the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America. And the Democrats, they can't handle it. They can't take it. They hate everything about President Donald Trump. They hate that he's so successful. And as Donald Trump said, they can't stand that he's winning so much. And it's not just winning in Iran and winning with the economy. He's going to win with NATO. He's right now on his way to the NATO meeting. And you know what's going to happen at NATO? They're all going to agree to something that Donald Trump has wanted them to agree on for a very long time. And that is to pay their fair share. Oh, is that Barack Obama here? He wants all of these NATO allied countries, all 32 of them, to pay their fair share. Because right now, we bear the brunt of keeping them safe, and we're nowhere near the threats.
Tomorrow, we expect that all 32 NATO allies will agree to a new path. And that path, that commitment, is going to be 5% of their GDP on defense. And, it is historic. It is probably one of the biggest foreign policy wins of this administration, of any administration. And then we're going to spend the time building out the capacity and the capabilities of the United States and especially our allies here in Europe so that they can take over the traditional defense of the European continent and allow the United States to address the challenges that we face globally from our adversaries. But at the same time, our allies want to be part of this alliance with the United States. Yeah. And we at the same time need to address all of our security challenges. And so that's why we're looking for this commitment. That's why our allies are going to deliver this commitment, because it's not just about what the United States want. Ultimately, it's what they need as well. It's what their not only economies, but their societies demand. They want security, and they have to step up. For too long, Europe has been taking advantage of the American taxpayer to provide their traditional security here on the continent. And it's just that time is over. President Trump's been very clear about that. And this is the moment where they are finally going to commit to doing that. Presidents since Eisenhower have been telling Europe they need to take over their own security. And so President Trump has delivered that. But that's a familiar refrain, whether it's the nuclear program of Iran or so many other things. President Trump delivers what these promises that politicians of the past couldn't deliver.
And here's another one. And it's true. He's riding high on a wave of successes, and he's going to roll into NATO. He's going to be like, guys, 5% GDP. There's no questions. Anybody have any questions? If you have questions, you're not going to like the answer. So just cough up the 5% GDP. That's what Donald Trump's been saying since his first term. That's what a lot of presidents have been saying. No one else has been able to do it except for President Donald Trump. And one of the reporters on the plane said, "Hey, are you going to see Zelensky while you're there?" And Donald Trump said, "Yeah, probably." Well, what are you going to say to him?
Do you think you'll meet with Zelensky when you're there?
Yeah, probably I'll see him. Yeah.
What would you say to him?
Say, how you doing? He's in a tough situation. Should have never been there.
It's times like these I'm so glad that I know Brigitte Gabriel, because she knows everything about pretty much everything that's going on in the world right now. Not only Iran and Israel and the conflicts in the Middle East, not only what's going on with you want to talk about these Muslim fundamentalists and extremists in New York who are now steps away from taking over the mayor's office with the help of AOC and the Democrats. But also, we got to talk about the midterms too. But first, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brigitte Gabriel. How are you? National security analyst, author. What are you? The actforamerica.org. You're working on every aspect that is currently harming America. How's it going?
It's going great. I am grateful President Trump is in power.
Yeah.
Can you imagine imagine how different things would be if right now we have Kamala Harris
Oh.
as president? So thankfully, God was looking down on America, whatever you call it, superpower, human intelligence, whether you believe in God or not, whatever it is, it was looking down on America. So thank God we've got President Trump. The world is getting fixed one country at a time.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's going to take a lot to reverse the damage. But we're working with the president, and we're helping the president and working with his team to make sure America continue to be great again, safe again, and the greatest country on the face of the planet.
Now, let me just show people real quickly, just so they know who you are. And you've been on our show a couple times. Rise is your brand new book in defense of Judeo-Christian values and freedom. But you've got multiple bestsellers, and they're all available on your website. Let's talk a little bit about, though, this 12-day World War III that we just wrapped up, with Donald Trump going in with the B-2 bombers and having one of the most successful missions, I think, in American military history, obliterating Iranian nuclear facilities, getting out, and then, of course, getting all kinds of guff from not only Democrats, but a handful of Republicans. And now we know that there's a ceasefire and that the war is basically over. So what are what are the takeaways from this past weekend?
The takeaway is the world respects strength. The world, especially the Middle East, respects power. President Trump is an alpha male, and the world respects that. As much as they tried to sell us in America about the wussifying of men, how it's better, we're multicultural, our recruitment for the military is basically, lesbian commercials, showing about how I'm becoming to my full self. This is not what wins war. This is not what gets you respect on the world stage, because we still live in the big world. And we still have to deal with other countries and with other leaders and dictators. And in the case of Iran, mullahcracy, who believes they answer only to Allah, and they are driven by an apocalyptic vision. That's why they're developing a nuclear program to bring their 12th Imam or the Mahdi in order to make Islam supreme throughout the world. And they were willing to use a nuclear bomb to do it. President Trump understood the challenges across the globe, and he understood that when you don't cross a red line. He gave the Iranians 60 days to negotiate.
Yeah.
Not a week, not 2 weeks, not 20 days. He gave them 60 days, 2 months. He says, let's reason together. Let's discuss this. Let's debate the issue. Let's address your concerns. The Iranians thought they were dealing with Biden or an Obama because they got accustomed to a very weak America that's became known worldwide as a paper tiger under Democratic leadership. President Trump said, I'm going to reset the world. I'm going to push my button, my finger on the button, and I'm going to show the world that America is back. And that's exactly what he did. We don't have a war. The war ended swiftly. We destroyed the Iranian nuclear reactor. And the Democrats do not know what to do right now. They're scrambling. They're scrambling to find a reason to impeach him, penalize him, whatever they want to do. It's not going anywhere.
You bring up a really great point that I think a lot of people don't know or just don't think about or don't care, because you're from the Middle East. You're from Lebanon and you worked in Israel, and you know that area probably better than anyone in the United States of America. And what you hit on is right. The leadership there and the power base there, they don't think like us. They are those alpha males, and they only respond to power, and they will bully people until they are bullied back by somebody bigger. And that is, for a lot of Americans, especially the new generation, that is something that is kind of literally a foreign concept.
That's right. And look, it's not just the leaders in the Middle East. The rest of the world respects alpha male. This is how we are designed as people. You cannot go against the DNA of thousands of years that go back for the thousands of years. This is how we are made. The world respects power. The world respects somebody who stands up for himself. The world respects somebody who says, you're not going to cross me, and I'm going to set boundaries. This is how Putin operates. This is how every world leader operates, except for the leaders in the West who have been so wussified by this whatever swept Western nations. It's like the more the rest of the world became stronger, the more that Western nations became weaker, because we beat up men. We beat up men to say, Look, your masculinity is toxic. That's baloney. The world respects masculinity. The reason why we have an army, reason why we have a military is to go out and kill our enemy.
Right.
Not to be nice to them, not to build bridges and schools,
No.
not to build girls' schools and sing, kumbaya with everybody. This is not why we build the military. We spend millions of dollars training our men and women in the military to go out and kill your enemy and come home victorious. And that's exactly what President Trump did with his attack on Iran. And look at the respect throughout the world. I cannot wait to watch the footage, Mark, from the NATO summit right now.
Yeah.
Trump is on his way. He's going to be treated like a hero. I mean, you can just imagine him pushing everybody aside, standing in the for the photo op, red dead smack center. This is what the world respects. And I'm so glad that young American men and women are seeing this, are getting to witness this, to understand. We cannot live in a la-la land in our own world that we make for ourselves. We still have to live with the rest of the world, and we have to suffer the consequences, good or bad, because we live in a big world.
And it's true that not only are the Iranians now kind of coming to the table and they've got the ceasefire, not only are the Israelis, who again Donald Trump had to browbeat Netanyahu a little bit this morning because he was sending more bombers out, and Donald Trump's out there cussing on the White House lawn. He was on the phone doing the same thing. So not only do those countries respect and admire Donald Trump and the United States of America, but I have to imagine that every other angry, anti-American, we hate capitalism, death to America country out there is doing a double take. And they're rethinking any and all plans they may have had to go against President Donald Trump. North Korea, Syria, any of these other places, they're going to be like, well, we don't want any of that happening here.
That's right. Can you imagine what's going on through the minds of Xi right now and China? Remember, China's been eyeing Taiwan. We knew China wanted to attack Taiwan. Do you think the Chinese will take a chance in the next 3 years of doing anything to Taiwan? Wouldn't dare. And President Trump, he didn't have to, go out and beat everybody with a stick. All he did was says, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to bomb the nuclear reactor, and we're going to come back. I don't want war. I don't want to drag the world into war. We just want to make sure we eliminate the threat that's posed to the United States. And that's exactly what he did. And look, he understands our enemy. The majority of Americans don't realize the threat from Iran. The only reason Iran was developing nuclear weapons, it was for military grade for war. And their ultimate goal was the attack the great Satan, the United States of America. Remember, Israel is the little Satan. We are the big Satan. All Iran wanted to do is put a nuclear head on a ballistic missile made by North Korea, because remember, they've been working with the North Koreans for the last 20 years. President Ahmadinejad, the former president of Iran, attended the North Korean missile test in 2006 and 2007 in North Korea, because they were hoping to work together on attacking the United States, where Iran could have used, whether Al-Qaeda, ISIS, any of the operatives, any of the ships that the bin Laden family owned, launch a ballistic missile out of any place in the ocean, whatever ocean they wanted, and attack the United States. Not to kill Americans. They can detonate a ballistic missile with a nuclear head 500 kilometers above the sky of the United States. Let's say Wichita, Kansas. That will interact with the Earth's surface, creating an electromagnetic pulse attack. Nobody on the ground will die, but it will send us back, Mark, to the 14th century. There will be no electricity. All the utilities will stop. No water, no gas. Food will rot in the stores. Trucks will not work. Warehouses will not be able to deliver food to the grocery stores. And once Americans realize that we've been hit, it'll take them about 24 hours to 48 hours. Then the EMP Commission, the Electromagnetic Pulse Congressional Commission, because even in Congress, they had a commission on this because it was such a serious threat. They said that 90% of Americans will be dead within 1 year because they will kill each other for food to survive. We in this country have not been paying attention. At least the average Joe Blow who's getting their news from the Comedy Central and TikTok and Instagram have no idea what I just shared with you.
Yeah.
But President Trump and the Pentagon and Congress knew exactly what we were dealing with when we were looking at Iran. And that's why we had to attack.
Let's talk about that a little bit too, because one of the things that I'm concerned about is the midterms. And the midterms in 2026, I believe that the Democrats, they're going to go hard for the House of Representatives. They know that there's no presidential election. They know they're not going to win the Senate. And so they're going to pour all their resources, they're going to pour all their money, they're going to pour all their craziness. All their media friends are going to be battling for whatever purple seats and really some red seats out there. And my concern is that 97% of the time in the history of this country, the party in power has lost in the midterms. And if we lose these midterm elections, then we are going to be slapped with the kind of crazy this country has never seen. Donald Trump will be immediately impeached for the dumbest things, probably every single day. And they'll tie up his entire administration with subpoenas and interviews and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that we have a strong enough conservative conservative base, I guess you would say, in Congress right now to adequately fight that back.
Exactly. And thank you for bringing this point up, Mark, because this is so important. And I see this all over the country because I travel all over the country.
Right.
Remember, I run an organization called Act for America, actforamerica.org, and I encourage people to go to our website and check us out. We are the largest national security and freedom grassroots organization in the country. We have grassroots. We have people on the ground in 97% of U.S. counties. We have helped pass over 300 bills at the federal level and the state level. So I've got my finger on the pulse of the nation. I travel everywhere and I meet with donors who support our work. And one thing I'm seeing this year, every people that I go talk to, hey, would you be willing to host a meeting for Act for America this year? We would like to talk about the midterm, what's happening, why we need to organize. And I've heard it over and over again. Oh, Brigitte, I'm not worried. President Trump is in power. He's going to fix it all. It's not an election year. I'm not concerned. We need to wake up because we can lose. We can lose the House very easy. Look, we're barely hanging on the thread with the House. So don't sit on your hands and think President Trump is going to fix it. The left is organizing right now, and we need to do the same thing. Right now is the time for the grassroots to be mobilized in their community. You need to understand. You need to map out your neighborhood. You need to map out your community. You need to understand who's running your city council, who's on your city council.
Yeah.
You need to understand who are your state legislatures, who is up for election and who is not. You need to sign up to volunteer for your local conservative Republican political party, whatever it is. But you need to be involved. You need to be involved in your precinct because we cannot afford to lose the next election. Like you said, Mark, if we lose the next election, President Trump will be paralyzed. He will not really be able to do much because the Democrats will tie up everything in the House, impeaching him. He will not be able to enforce his agenda. And that's why we at Act for America right now are working with the White House team and the administration to codify every executive order President Trump signed and to put it into law between now and the midterm. So we've got 1 year to be able to do that. So I encourage people to go to our website, actforamerica.org. We monitor all bills coming down for a vote at the federal and the state level. So when we introduce a bill, we want to be able to notify you. The bill is introduced. We want you to call your elected official. We give you their phone number. We even have a script written for you. We even have an email about the bill written for you that with one click on your computer, you can send it to them. We have a tool called Act Now campaign. It's a technological tool. We have simplified activism. We call them keyboard activists, and we need you engaged. Go to actforamerica.org, sign up to get our emails and action alerts. Sign up as a member if you can. We would appreciate your support in every way. But it doesn't cost you anything to take action. We want to make sure every red, white, and blue bleeding America-loving patriot has access to our technology and their voice heard to make sure we maintain our power in the House, the Senate, so we can support President Trump, get his agenda done, and reverse the damage that the Biden administration did to the country in the last 4 years.
And the flip side of that, too, is not only do we need to keep the House of Representatives, but you need to make sure, as you pointed out, on your city council, at your state level, and even your federal representatives, you need to make sure that they are conservative and that they're combative, that they're strong, and that they're not going to waffle. And that's one of the reasons we're going after our representative here, because he votes with Joe Biden and the Democrats way too often. And if the Democrats take control, we know that he's probably just going to reach across the aisle and do whatever they want. Real quick, speaking of threats and speaking of the Democrats, because they are still, even though they don't have a lot of money, even though they don't have a lot of messengers, even though they seem to be floundering, they are making headway. And this race that's going on right now in New York City with this guy who's challenging Cuomo, and I didn't think Cuomo was a good candidate anyway, but this guy, Zoran Mamdani is his name. And this guy is like 33, but he is one of those radical Islamists who is very close to becoming the mayor, or at least the primary candidate in the Democrat Party for mayor of the largest city in the country. How does that happen?
The largest city with the largest majority Jewish population.
Right, I know. It's wild.
It is mind-boggling. But you know what, Mark? The reason why they are so successful and they're having traction, because the Democrats are organized.
Yeah.
They're not listening to talk radio and getting educated. They say, look, we are so informed on the right. You talk to anybody. Tell me, are you engaged? Are you active? Oh, yes, Brigitte. I listen to talk radio. I watch Fox News. I watch Newsmax. I attend CPAC, Turning Point, any conference I can. I'm very engaged. I go to the Republican Party, hear speakers, eat the rubber chicken. Everybody feels good about themselves. They got educated. They go home, Mark. 7 days later, they have no idea what to do. On the Democratic side, they are organized at the grassroots level. They are so emotionally driven and passionate that they are engaged. They map out their community. They understand. They talk to their neighbors. They have a barbecue party. Invite all their friends in the building. Come to my house for dinner. We're going to have a pizza party. Let's talk about how we're all going to go out and vote. I want to make sure every single one of you all are going to go out and vote. Who else can we pick up? Who else can we take? Who do you know of our friends who, wobbling? They organize each other, and this is what we're lacking on the Republican side, and that's why I'm all about grassroots activism. That's why I say you need to be engaged, you need to be mobilized. And in New York right now, I mean, what a day today, the day of voting. This guy is so radical.
Yeah.
New York has become like London. What's taking down England is when you look at all their major cities, every major city has a Muslim mayor. And so we need to make sure that in America, we do not go down the path of London. Not because we are anti-Muslim. We are anti-radical Islamists.
Yes.
Who refuse to condemn Hamas, like this guy. The guy is running for office. He refused to condemn Hamas after the October 7th attack. He refuses to condemn terrorist organization. And this is the guy who wants to head one of the biggest city in the United States. This is what Americans need to be concerned about.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And that's all by design, too. The fact that they took over cities like London and the fact that they have strongholds in other major cities. And you see there's whole sections of London that if you're not a Muslim, you're told not to go into, and the police won't even go into because they're too scared of what would happen to them and also what would happen if they tried to enforce the law. And now New York City is facing the same fate. It is totally wild. It is ridiculous. Hopefully we'll see what happens. I've never actually thought I'd be in a position where I was praying for Andrew Cuomo, but it appears that's exactly. I'm like, well, please God, let Andrew Cuomo win. Wait, what is happening? Anyway, listen, Brigitte, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Brigitte Gabriel, the new book is called Rise, and you can get it. You can get it on your website, BrigitteGabriel.com. What else before we go?
And they can get the books on Amazon. I cannot believe I'm sending people to Amazon. But for a donation to Act for America, my organization, you can get the book autographed and you'll be able to help our organization at the same time. Go to actforamerica.org, get involved, become a voice affecting your community and our nation.
Yeah, fantastic. That was great. Brigitte, thank you so much for coming on this. It's always very, you want to talk about energy. I thought I had a lot of energy, which I do, but she's got a lot of energy and a fantastic message, and we are right there in tune. We wish her all the best. And speaking of donations, by the way, we have a couple more hats here. We are down to 4. We are down to 4 hats. Yesterday we had 2 out the door. So what the story behind these hats is, by the way, they're out of stock. So this is it. This is all we're going to be able to get right now. We've been giving out these hats autographed to people who've made donations to our campaign. As you know, I'm running for Congress. It's right there. Well, it's right there on the hats. Mark Kaye for Congress in the 5th Congressional District, because unfortunately the people in the 5th Congressional District thought they were sending a conservative Republican to Congress. They were not. They were sending a moderate who votes with the Democrats almost as often as he votes with the Republicans. He has a solid F when it comes to congressional voting records, has somehow gotten really wealthy while he's in Congress. I mean, not somehow, we all know how, and has managed to just skate through because we're in a very solid red district. The only way to beat this guy is in the primary. And so that's what we're trying to do. My buddy Terry was the first one to donate for a hat. He gave me $500 initially, and I was so thankful I gave him a hat. Then we had a woman named Amy on part of our catering club. She said, I want a hat too. How much do I have to pay? And I said, well, Terry paid $500. And she said, done. So she got a hat as well. Yesterday, John Sincavage stepped up and said, I want a hat. We had somebody else whose name escapes me later in the afternoon get their hat. So we're down to 4. And if you would like one of these hats, it's easy to do. All you have to do is go to markkforcongress.com and donate $500. Now, if you don't have $500, I totally understand it. I don't have $500 either. But what you can do is you can make any donation whatsoever, big or small. This is where you can this is where the rubber meets the road. There's a lot we have to do. We have every day we're getting closer and closer to primary day, and every day we need more and more help to get there. We're ordering stickers so you can have stickers. People want t-shirts. We're going to get t-shirts. People are like, can I stick a sign in my yard? Are you going to have palm cards and things that I can hand out? All of that stuff, unfortunately, costs money. And that's why, well, we're looking for donations of any kind that we can get. $25, $50, $100. If you get that $500 or more, by the way, donation, we'll send you the hat. And we are going to have some events coming up. We are going to do some other things where we can try to raise some funds and rally some support. But right now, if you go to markkforcongress.com, MARKKAYEFOR, Congress.com, you'll see this page right here. You just click on the donation amount you'd like. If you want to put in your own, you can click other, and you can put in any dollar amount that you want. But we greatly appreciate and need all of your support, because again, it's not just that we're running for Congress. It's that we are running to put conservatives in Congress. We're running to make sure that the people who are in Congress are going to push forward Donald Trump's agenda, no matter who's in control, no matter who's in charge. And we're also going to make sure that should the worst happen, and should the Democrats somehow take control of the House, we're going to have a fighter in there. We don't right now. Our current representative in Florida's District 5 is not a fighter. So we're going to try to put one in there. And that somebody is me. Again, it's markkforcongress.com. The link is conveniently located in the description of this video. Need to take a minute to thank some of our super chatters. Christiane Haggerty dropped a $2 super chat. And she wrote, gutless losers. I probably have to isolate that one too. There are a lot of Donald Trump isolated tracks that I need to get to later today. Gutless losers. That's when he was talking about CNN and the fake news, of course. And that is something that totally accurate, by the way. That is hyper accurate. Gutless losers. And Christiane, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your super chat on YouTube. We got a nice one on Rumble here. I'm trying to pull it up, but I don't think I'm able to. So I'm going to have to pull it up on my phone from, let's see, from Catman20716PC. That's a very long screen name. Catman20716PC wrote, God bless our military, and dropped a $20 Rumble rant. So, Catman, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate that as well. We appreciate any and all super chats and Rumble rants, any and all support you can give us. And if you'd like to make a donation to the campaign, like I said, it's markkforcongress.com. All right, let's get to the big, beautiful bill. The one big, beautiful bill, which is, as we said before, Donald Trump's next big battle. He battled Iran. Now he's got to go and make sure that the one big, beautiful bill gets pushed through. And he's got everybody working every angle. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, is working the angles in the Senate to get the one big beautiful bill passed.
And this is the fulfillment and implementation, this bill, of the president's agenda. It's securing the border, it's modernizing our military, it's making America energy dominant, it's tax relief for working families, it's reducing the size and scale and cost of government by getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. This is what the American people voted for, and that's what we intend to deliver. So failure is not an option. There's a lot, as you would expect, a lot of swirl at this point in the legislative process, and so we're hearing people out, working, responding to their feedback and taking their input, trying to incorporate things into the bill that make it stronger and better. But we have to get this done, and I'm hopeful that we will succeed by the end of the week here in the Senate, and then we'll see what the House can do, and if we can get it on the president's desk soon.
Yeah, it's July 4th, by the way. That's what it is, July 4th. And he said, and Donald Trump said, in fact, let me pull that up here too. Donald Trump said, no vacations. Nobody's going on vacation until this one big beautiful bill is passed. Nobody's going on vacation. Here he is. Now that we have made peace abroad, we must finish the job here at home by passing the great big beautiful bill and getting the bill to my desk ASAP. It will be a historic present for the great people of the United States of America as we begin the celebration of our country's 250th birthday. We are finally entering our golden age, which will bring unprecedented safety, security, and prosperity for all of our citizens. To my friends in the Senate, lock yourself in a room if you must. Don't go home, and get the deal done this week. Work with the House so they can pick it up and pass it immediately. No one goes on vacation until it's done. Everyone, most importantly, the American people, will be much better off thanks to our work together. Make America great again. No one goes on vacation until this bill is done. Nobody. No vacations. Everybody is working. Everybody is at the office. Everybody's doing what they need to do. Everybody's making sure that this thing comes home before July 4th so we can kick off the 250th anniversary celebration of the United States of America by solidifying President Donald Trump's agenda. And that's what this really is. It's solidifying President Donald Trump's agenda. And that is what, who said it there, right? It was, Chris Wright. This is amazing. Chris Wright, who is the energy secretary, and this guy's another great spokesperson for Donald Trump's administration, was out there touting the benefits of the big, beautiful bill. He was at a Breitbart panel with I think Matt Boyle was the one hosting it. Let's see.
The one big, beautiful bill is transformative in our trajectory on energy. I wrote a few years ago about the differing trajectories between the United States and Europe on energy. We didn't have wildly different energy prices 20 years ago. Today, they're just dramatically different. Our economies dramatically diverged in size and in wealth and whatever. But yet, for 4 years, we tried to jump on the European express train to make energy expensive, unreliable, and export our industries, just like Europe had done. This bill is the pivot. It's the reversal of that. You know, we have spent hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize electricity sources. I don't care where energy comes from. All I care about is secure, reliable, affordable energy from any source that can deliver those conditions. But if you subsidize something, you're going to get more of it. And we've spent a lot of money on other dumb things as well, but on subsidizing wind and solar so massively that we keep building more and more of it. Well, at peak demand at PJM, I mentioned after Inauguration Day, wind and solar combined were 2%. So you need our entire legacy grid there and operating to keep people alive when it's cold or cool when the peak heat hits. You need that whole grid then, but now you're going to build a second grid that's just a parasite. When the wind blows, you got to turn this thing down. When the sun shines, you got to turn this thing down. When the sun goes down and the wind dies, you got to turn all this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, you can tell he's very, very passionate. And he's saying the one big beautiful bill unleashes our American energy. It allows us to drill, baby, drill. And it allows us to become not energy dependent, but energy independent, which is where we were once before. This is Pfluger, by the way, who's talking exactly about that and how we need to unleash America's oil energy. He's from Texas. He's a
I think it really depends on passing this one big beautiful bill. We have to get this done on time. We have to give confidence back to the investment environment there. You and I have talked about it. I mean, 65 to 85 really is the range of pricing for oil that we need in order to continue to produce American oil. We don't want Iranian oil. We don't want Venezuelan oil. But I do think that the energy agenda is going to kick back into high gear, and you're going to see manufacturing come back. You're going to see American jobs come back. I mean, all of these things are really contingent on what we do here proud to have passed it in the House. Now it's time to get it through the Senate. We want it to come back looking very similar to what we passed.
Yeah, well, and you think that'll happen by July 4th?
I'm confident. I mean, it's a trust but verify situation, but we certainly are pushing for that.
Yeah, no vacation, so you better get it done, or else you're not. There's going to be no vacations for July 4th unless you get that thing done. That's what Donald Trump said, and I'm pretty sure Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure that's what Donald Trump meant. The other thing is Mike Johnson, who talks about the military. I mean, again, you can see everybody's talking about different aspects of this bill. Representative Pfluger's talking about how it's going to unleash our oil production. Chris Wright's talking about energy. You've got RFK Jr. out there talking about how this bill is going to modernize American medicine. You've got, the small business secretary, what's her name? Kelly Loeffler's out there, and she's talking about how it helps small businesses with the tax breaks and the no tax on tips and everything else. And you've got Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives doing his part, too, by talking about American military might.
One of the things, as you all know, that the big, beautiful bill will accomplish is it will support our military funding. While congressional Democrats feign concern about the safety and well-being of U.S. service members, House Republicans are working to deliver legislation that actually accomplishes that and supports them. I think it's really important that amid this global threat landscape that we point out there's never been a better time for a piece of legislation, a generational, once-in-a-generation opportunity legislation like the One Big Beautiful Bill. This bill funds President Trump's Golden Dome to bolster long-range missile defense capabilities. How many of you know that's kind of important right now? It accelerates the modernization of our nuclear deterrent. Couldn't have a better time for that. And it revitalizes our defense industrial base. Here's a few specifics. $34 billion to expand the size and capabilities of our naval fleet. To $25 billion for the Golden Dome. $21 billion to restock America's arsenal of munitions and ramp up domestic production of rare earth and critical minerals. $13 billion for nuclear deterrence. $12 billion to enhance military readiness, among many other great provisions that I won't bore you with listing. It's exciting stuff. And the One Big Beautiful Bill is a generational investment in American military might. And we need to get it to President Trump's desk as soon as possible.
Did he call him President Trump earlier? He called him. He's having trouble pronouncing the president's name. Also, it'd be great if he shared the same kind of energy and excitement he's trying to explain to people are in the bill. He's literally saying this is a very exciting bill, and he's doing it with so little excitement and enthusiasm. If you're going to sell something to someone, you got to be enthusiastic about it. This is such an exciting bill. We're going to get $29 billion to build a Golden Dome. You know why we need a Golden Dome? Because we just saw Iran shooting rockets into Israel and into Qatar and trying to hit our air base. And if they ever get an ICBM, or if anybody gets an ICBM, you're going to want to make sure there's a missile defense system that's in place to shut it down before it hits Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, San Francisco, L.A., Dallas, Texas, Miami, Tampa, any and all of those cities, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon. You're going to want to make sure that we have a missile defense shield in place, because guess what? That's how wars are fought, with intercontinental ballistic missiles, with drone technology, with intergalactic missiles and aircraft that the Chinese are developing as we speak with money that we gave them. That's the kind of excitement you want to talk about these things with. Mike Johnson just, I think that was him excited, and that's one of the big problems we have with it. But it is a transformational piece of legislation, to be sure. And every time I go out and talk to people about it, every time people ask me about it, they say, what do you think about the One Big Beautiful Bill? And I'll be honest with you, there have been so many continuing resolutions, so many CRs, so many times when there was spending just for the sake of spending. There was spending with no savings. There was spending with no cuts. There was spending with no getting anything. There have been so many times when this Congress, led by Mike Johnson, other Congresses led by Mike Johnson, Republican-led Congresses, there have been so many times when they voted for something just because they were too scared of the Democrats. They voted for keeping the government running. What else do we get? Nothing. You just get to keep the government running. You guys wasted so much time. You guys dragged your feet so much. Here's an opportunity to actually vote for spending that is going to get us amazing things in return. And as you look at the outline of this bill, and as you learn all about the legislation, and as you see the things that are beneficial, if it returns to the House the way it left the House, then it is overall a decent bill. And if President Donald Trump continues to do what he says he's going to do, which so far he has, which is bring in new investment and bring in new manufacturing jobs and bring in new income and sell gold cards to people that want to become citizens and drill, baby, drill. I mean, just unleashing the economic windfall, the new golden age of power that is seeping, the black crude oil, that Texas tea, as they called it in the Beverly Hillbillies, which, by the way, I've never heard anyone else other than black gold Texas tea. That's the only time I've ever heard it called Texas tea. And I'm not from Texas, so maybe that's a thing. But the Beverly Hillbillies is the only time I've ever heard that. If it's truly a thing in Texas or elsewhere, please let me know. Because I know a lot of folks in Oklahoma are refiners, and I've never heard any one of them refer to it as Texas tea. Probably because they're in Oklahoma. And I don't know if you know this, but Oklahoma and Texas, they're a little bit of a rivalry. There. Listen, there's so much we could get to, but like I said, we're already out of time. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you one more time that tomorrow night I am hosting, for the first time ever, a Podcast Profits event where I show you exactly what I do, how I do it, why I do it, and how I make a living at it. These podcasts, they're informative, I hope. Some people tell me they're entertaining. That's great. People keep coming back every single day to hear them. They're downloading them constantly. I'll show you some of my numbers. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how I do it and how you can do it. And if you have a business or a message, or if you're looking for customers or clients, if you want to build some kind of community, podcasting is the best way to do it. And that's not just, there's scientific proof that podcasting is better than any other social media platform, any other social media system for building an audience and a community and customers and monetizing whatever it is you do. And that's why I'm putting together this free event. It's called Podcast Profits Live. It is free. It's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. You must register, though. We need to know. We got to send you a link because it's in a Zoom room. And so we have to send you the link so you can get in there. It's for entrepreneurs and business people who are interested in podcasting for a living, or to supplement their income, or to enhance their marketing, or for whatever reason. That's what this is for. And if that's you, then this is for you. Go to markkaye.com/podcast-profits. markkaye.com/podcast-profits. The link is in the description of this video, so you can go check it out there. I'm giving you my proven system for free. You can create your own podcast with multiple streams of income. You're going to learn how to do it in about an hour. It's going to be about 1 hour tomorrow night. markkaye.com/podcast-profits. If you'd like to get in on that. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks so much for subscribing. Oh, look at this. We got one more Rumble rant here. This is from Squeakasaurus. Mark Kaye for Congress. Rutherford must go. Squeakasaurus, thank you so much. I'm trying to center that, but I can't really. Thank you. So that is very generous. That's a very generous $10 Rumble rant. We appreciate that. And we appreciate everybody who donated to the show today. We appreciate everyone who showed us support monetarily. And look, and I know that not everybody can, but the best thing you can do to really support this show is to continue to watch it every single day. Download it on your podcast platform. If you're on Rumble or if you're on YouTube, make sure, help us get those numbers up. Tell a friend about it. Make sure that you've set the notifications and that every time we go live, you're here with us. Make sure that every time we go live, you get notified so you can hop right in and join the conversation and hang out with your buddies in the chat. We know there's a lot of those. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or any of those other places, I know you want to make sure that on your way home, you're listening to the most updated, the most up-to-date episode. And the best way to do that is to set the notifications and subscribe to the podcast so it's always there on your phone, because we're here every day. Every day, Monday through Friday, we are here and we are telling you the truth. We are sharing with you the facts. We are letting you know which gutless losers and which scum are lying to you.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And which ones are telling you the truth. We're letting you know who's on your side and who's against you. We're cutting through the propaganda and the BS, and we're telling you exactly what's going on in the United States of America, exactly how you can help the United States of America, exactly how you can perpetuate, how you can plan and train and be ready for any battle that should ever pop up, because they're going to keep popping up. And we got to be ready to fight so that we can save the Republic. After party. Bada bing, bada boom. 3 minutes-ish. 3 minutes-ish. We will have an after party at kayetriots.com.